Delegations from Hamas, Israel and the US are headed to Cairo ahead of peace talks tomorrow to finalize a Gaza ceasefire deal. It comes as Donald Trump shared a map showing the initial withdrawal line for Israeli troops operating in the enclave. The Israeli government has said that its negotiators will leave for Egypt tonight ahead of talks over the release of hostages. Meanwhile, an Israeli official has stated that there is currently no ceasefire in Gaza, but there has been a temporary halt in certain bombings. The official stated that the Israeli military can continue to act inside the enclave for defensive purposes. Hamas has agreed in principle to what happens after the war in Gaza is over, but said that the second phase of the deal, which concerns Hamas's disarmament and demobilization, is not certain. What happens now as peace talks kickstart in Egypt is the big question. Will this Trump plan succeed is the big question that we're asking all our panelists as well as the viewers. Joining us on the broadcast is Ambassador Paswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, Major General Sudhakarji, senior geopolitical and strategic defense expert. Mr. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, also joins us on the program. Last but not the least, Adit Kothari, foreign affairs expert, with us on the show as well. Ambassador Mukherjee, let's begin with you, ma'am. What do you make of this peace plan? Is Israel compelled to follow it? Because Donald Trump has, more often than not in the last few days, criticized and admonished Netanyahu for continuing this fight. And secondly, is this a sustainable plan, considering the fact that the only reason Donald Trump perhaps is in these peace talks is to somehow promulgate his own Nobel aspirations?
You're very right, Vineet. But if he manages it, then I think he would surely get a Nobel Peace Prize if he pulls it off. Right now, I think the signals coming in are positive because Hamas has agreed in principle, even though the original peace plan which the Arab states had brought up called for immediate cessation of hostilities by Israel inside the Gaza Strip, which they have not yet done. There are hostilities going on, but it's at a reduced scale. Now the question is that once Hamas releases the hostages, those who are alive, and the remains of those who are dead, then the actual process will begin, which is cessation of hostilities, establishment of an interim administration headed by Trump himself over the Gaza Strip, with Tony Blair there of all people, very ironic, I must say, and with some, I presume, some local Palestinians inside. I don't think Hamas will agree to disarm completely because their own security depends on it, given what Israel tried to do in Qatar when they tried to take out Hamas leadership in a third country. In fact, there is no guarantee that they won't try the same thing in Egypt. But I suppose, hopefully, they won't try that in Egypt. So these are things which need to be ironed out. But if there is a peacekeeping force set up of some Arab countries, and I am told that Pakistan is not going to be part of it because the Israelis say that Pakistan has not recognized Israel's right to exist. Therefore, only countries that have recognized Israel's right to exist can be part of this peacekeeping force. The other option before Trump, but I doubt he'll do it because he hates the UN, is to take it to the Security Council, secure the support of China and Russia, and have a UN proper PKO, where many countries, including India, can participate, which would permanently establish peace in the Gaza Strip. But Trump would like to take the credit for himself. I don't see him going to the UN, but I do feel that there are positive signals, and I feel more optimistic now about the limited success of this Gaza peace plan than 2 days ago, because Hamas has reluctantly agreed. In any case, the Palestinians have welcomed it inside the Gaza Strip, and I'm told that 3/4 of the Israeli population has welcomed it. So there is public support for it in Gaza, in Israel, and in the neighboring countries of Israel and the Gaza Strip. So let us hope for the best. And yes, apart from the Nobel Peace Prize beneath, please don't forget that as a highly transactional president, Trump also sees in it a huge opportunity for the United States to collaborate in rebuilding Gaza. It won't be real estate purchased by the United States, but short of that, I'm sure huge business deals will be made and profits will flow back to United States. That there is no doubt that the whole of practically 90% of Gaza will have to be rebuilt and made habitable. And who's going to do that? That's going to be the United States. No, nobody else. Beneath.
Absolutely right. Sumit, how do you see the situation? You know, a number of people in the past, including various presidents, including Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George Bush Sr., Jr., have all tried to mitigate some sort of a peace deal between Israel and Palestine. But there is a reason, Sumit, why these deals have not gone through. There is a reason why they have not stood the test of time. What do you think that reason could be?
Thank you very much for having me on your show, Vineet. A good question to begin with. Well, the reason is very simple. It is the Zionist hate. It is that you can't have Zionist and you can't have the day of Akhirat and Qiyamah to come. That is what is, by the way, in the Hamas charter, very clearly written. But at time each, there's only one Jew surviving on planet Earth. The day of Akhirat or Qiyamah will not come. It is clearly written there. So you are fighting a regime which believes in this and which is willing to live and die for this. So Donald Trump can try anything and everything what he wants to do. But let me take you back, 2-3 days back when he announced this mega deal. Look at the same day, the Israeli internal security minister and the Israel's finance minister said these are all optics and things, nothing is going to happen. First, Donald Trump says within 48 hours, hostages will be released. Then he says 72 hours. Then he says by Wednesday, Hamas will tell you. Then he says by Thursday, something will happen. Then when nothing happened, then finally he gave them a warning of Sunday, 6 o'clock. Yesterday they tricked him again. Okay, we are in principle ready to release the hostages. Then what did he immediately go on Truth Social? Oh, stop the bombing, stop the bombing. The hostages are coming. 24 hours have passed. कहते हैं ना हिंदी में एक कुत्ते का बच्चा भी नहीं आया. Sorry, I'm not trying to demean anybody. Nothing has come out. This is Hamas. First number, 48 hostages. Today's number, 20 hostages. And we don't know how many and in what condition. Then Hamas came with a charter, dead or alive. I don't know when did dead men become hostages. To the best of my knowledge, only alive are hostages. So dead or alive. From 48, the number came to 20. Then it came to dead and alive. Then they are saying we will not give out our weapons. What happens to our security? In the meanwhile, Mullah Naeem Qasim of Hezbollah says this is not the pact. This is trade of a Palestinian state. Will not agree to it. Then in the meanwhile, Islamic Jihad says I don't want to agree to this deal. A lot of factions of Hamas don't agree to it, except a couple of them who are still talking. And 1 hour back, Marco Rubio says, we will come to know where it will go. So even that is his external affairs minister. Look, Hamas is not going to change. Hamas is not fighting the land for anything and all. Trump has to understand he is getting tricked and fooled again and again and again by these people. And he's ready to believe that. Bhai, dekho, Vineet ji, $400 million ka jahaz. That will somewhere down the line have the impact. Then this $1 trillion which MBS is going to send into his money, into his country. Remember the $2 billion which are put by Saudis and Affinity Partners, which is Jared Kushner's private company. So when you have billions changing hands, we need such strange things happen. The thing is here, look, Hamas will not change. It is not the war about land, and with the E1 project, which Benjamin Netanyahu already approved and did, with the E1 project, there can never be a Palestinian state. Who are ready to agree to it? So if you look only, you have been extending the deadlines and you have been hoping against hope after hope. The question is, in my opinion, my personal opinion, there are not more than 10 to 12 hostages alive. And they will be in a condition which will be, that you will be frightened to look at. They will be walking zombies. Hamas knows what they have done to hostages. They have raped women multiple times, every day. That is what they do with hostages. Now, I don't know what the hell is Donald Trump trying to do, cut a deal with these jihadis. The only way is the Israeli way, go and destroy them. Why did Benjamin Netanyahu agree to his proposal? Kar denge. Because he told him, he knows Hamas will not do anything. He knows there are so many these jihadi factions who will not back it. It's okay, if they agree, we are in agreement with it. But did Israel stop? No, Israel did not stop. Did IDF stop? No, it will not stop. It's only that Trump's psychophancy. I want a Nobel Prize for myself. I want someone to be in that Nobel club, so I will do anything and everything. Look, Islamic Jihad said this proposal can burn the whole Middle East. And there's one more gentleman, right-hand man of Trump, Naam Steve Witkoff. He exactly said the same. It can burn the whole Middle East. Then why are you doing it, Mr. Witkoff? We are doing it so that even if we get a temporary ceasefire, that will give us the support of the Islamic world. Then we can pressure Putin to cut a deal in Ukraine. That is what my whole objective is. But the risk is it can burn the whole Middle East. I'm okay to take the risk. So that is what is happening on the ground, Vineet. It is a fight about ethnicity and culture. Now tell me, what has Iran got to do with Israel? They are 2,000 miles away. कौन सा नदी जलना नाला they share with each other? Nothing. Though still they come and bomb Israel and keep on. What have Houthis got to do with Israel? Why do they keep on sending missiles 2,000 miles away? Because it is the same problem. Understand? Either Trump doesn't understand Islam, he doesn't understand how radical Islam works. He has no idea about it. He thinks it's a typical American. There are two people. Oh, let's get a deal. It is not deal. It is not about money. It is about the religious ethos, identity, and that religious favors which I have in my mind. And I believe I'm very living to live and die by it. If Trump understands this, then it's easy. When Benjamin Netanyahu immediately agreed to the deal, I know it will not happen. Even on a Friday, his minister said we are giving 24 hours to the people in Gaza to leave Gaza, otherwise I'll consider you as a part of terror or terror facilitators. Still people are in Gaza, still they are not leaving Gaza. Now, go and check any social media account. A Hamas fighter walks into Gaza. I looked yesterday. He gets a hero's welcome. If you have a Bollywood star coming to your neighborhood, nobody is going to come out. But if you have a Hamas guy entering Gaza, there are thousands and thousands together. There are children who are taking selfies with them. They are their heroes. Understand this. Does Trump understand this? He doesn't understand this. He's being befooled again and again and again. The problem is, you live in an ivory tower in Washington DC, sorry, Trump Tower. And from there, you think you can run the world. That is where your problem is. And unfortunately, 99% of the times you get it wrong. Because your chelas and chamchas come and teach you whatever they want. You are jumping the gun. You are going on Truth Social. Stop ceasefire now. We are getting hostages now. Arey Baba, you have to understand Hamas. You have to understand this Islamic Jihad, these terror groups, how do they operate? Do you think they are going to give you hostages? What is the proof here of the hostages? Has Shin Bet or Mossad confirmed you they are hostages? Why did the number deplete from 48 to 20? Where did 28 disappear overnight? Who killed them? Kahan gaye wo? And even today, my number is not more than 10 to 12. That too in a very, very bad shape, which will fume people more. With those things happening, Hamas not ready to disengage. Again, these people got together. They tricked Trump because Israel would have gone for the decisive phase. They wanted to stop Israel. They went for this. What negotiation? Even as a goodwill, out of 48, even if you have released 4 or 10 or 12 hostages, there would be some goodwill. What goodwill? What has changed on the ground for Donald Trump? Only his psychophancy and ego, where he believes he's some kind of a big deal maker. But on the ground, sir, nothing has changed. एक बंदा भी बाहर आया क्या? Not even one single person. That is the reality. And Israel knows that very well. Israel understands that very well. But the problem is the people in Washington, D.C. live in their own...
Right, Sumit, let me also bring in General Sudhakarji into this conversation. General Sudhakarji, on one hand, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine doesn't seem to be dying down. In fact, the escalation has gone to the next level, with Russia now targeting newer places in the country of Ukraine. About 50 bombs were launched, just overnight in the last 24 hours. Is this some sort of, a forced breakfast that, Donald Trump is making these two parties to eat? And at the back of it, you're not really taking care of the issue. You're just addressing the symptom like a doctor would by giving you medicines. But the real cause, the real problem why this issue has persisted for decades is not being addressed.
Yeah, Vinit, good evening. Thank you for getting me to your show, and compliments to very esteemed and distinguished co-panelists. You said it. In your question, you have nailed it bang on. When you go to a doctor has an option to diagnose either the disease or the symptom. At the moment, not I think, I'm convinced by what Sumit has said and the very senior ambassador, ma'am, has said, former ambassador. You see, the fact of the matter is, when you make a proposal at the international level, it has to take multiple stakeholders into consideration. The first moot question that comes to my mind as a student of geopolitics is, has the primary stakeholder been taken into consideration? Has anybody spoken to the Hamas? Have their grievances or the grief been taken into consideration? I don't think so. But notwithstanding, here is something coming about to bring the ceasefire into effect, or bring some kind of semblance of peace and harmony should come back and stop this mindless conflict, notwithstanding the very prominent gaps which are visible in the 20-point problem. The gaps, in fact, the proposal had been formulated after having taken into consideration, consulted the 8 member Muslim countries. The Pakistan foreign minister was seen, he was heard in their parliament contesting the very formulated plan. He said that this is not what they had proposed. So these are the moot issues. I personally feel the saving grace is that yes, at the end of the tunnel, there is a flicker of hope, a hope of normalcy, hope of some semblance of peace or ceasefire taking place. But how far will it last is a matter of anybody's conjecture or guess. Now, having said that, Vinit, I would say, at least for a change, Donald Trump and his team, they have made an effort. There is something looking up in favor of normalcy and peace coming back to a trouble-torn kind of area. And let's give it a chance. Let's be on the side of the peace and harmony. As a soldier, I will look at that. But the sequence of event which has been charted out in the roadmap are actually fraught with very serious limitations. When I say the limitations, the start point and the end point, everything should be crystallizing backwards from the end state that we are looking at. If you are really meaningfully and substantively looking at the peace and harmony to come back to Middle East, then let's start with that peace and harmony, working it backwards stage by stage. What are the issues? All the key issues have to be driven by a central paradigm. That central paradigm is the two-nation theory. Is Donald Trump explicit in his intent about the two-nation theory? I don't think so. He's silent. The two-nation theory, at the end of the day...
What does he know about the conflict? What does he know about the conflict? Let me also rope in Adit. Let me rope in Adit also. Adit, this is the same president who went on to say that India and Pakistan have been fighting for thousands of years. He doesn't understand context. He doesn't understand the history, behind this two-nation conflict that has been waging on for decades now. And obviously, what perhaps he does know is that there is immense pressure from the Jewish lobby in the United States pressurizing Donald Trump to do something.
So Vineet, I think, just echoing Sumitji's thought, here is a man who is undiplomatic, extremely crass, narcissistic, believes that he knows everything, but in reality knows absolutely nothing. And he looks at the world from a very unipolar lens. And the worst part is that the minions around him are too scared of upsetting him, which is why they do not even correct him. And as a consequence, he ends up making mistakes after mistakes. So if we look at the obstacles with regards to this particular sort of a peace deal, the biggest obstacle in my mind is of course Hamas is there, but the right-wing coalition of the Israeli party at this moment. I'm talking about Ben Gvir and Smotrich and all of these people. That threatens that until you collapse and you dismantle Hamas completely, you have defeated Hamas absolutely to the hilt. There is no going back. And they are basically holding Netanyahu hostage, which is why Netanyahu, when he comes to the UN platform as well, he says that this two-state solution is an absolutely insane proposition and it will not work out. There was a reason why 2014 and 2021, I think that was the last time when the US tried to broker a deal between Israel and the Palestinians, and they faltered. That was purely on the reasons because the Israeli population is held hostage by their polity, and where the population of Palestine are held hostage by the Hamas. And you and I discussed, I think it was sometime last week, that the Hamas have lost very few men as compared to the kind of death toll that average Palestinians have suffered. But they don't seem to recognize it. And the reason why they don't seem to recognize it is due to their blind hatred towards the existence of Israel. So until that goes away, I don't think we are looking at a solution. So someone needs to sit down with these people and reason with them that they need to formally recognize the existence of Israel as a reality, and then you can have the next subsequent steps of conditions laid out. Bill Clinton goes on to say, when he was trying to reason with Yasser Arafat, he said it himself. It was the Palestinians who did not want the deal. The Israelis were ready to go ahead and accept the two-state solution and end it once and for all. But it was the Palestinians who faltered it, and they did not want to recognize Israel's existence, which would have essentially dissolved this entire issue. So all in all, I think I don't see much coming out of this, purely because of the kind of politics behind it. And Netanyahu is not interested in putting his right-wing coalition partners into any sort of disarray, which makes it compulsive for him to keep the pressure lid on beneath.
And Ambassador Mukherjee, there's also a lot of pressure on Netanyahu, isn't it? He's obviously being heckled by his own countrymen, the opposition. A lot of people are waiting for this war to be over so that they can try him, drag him to court. And a lot of experts also feel that Netanyahu has dragged this war because he's avoiding jail.
Netanyahu is between a rock and a hard place. After he tried to take out Hamas operatives in Qatar, the Americans have said that the security of Qatar is an American issue. That is a huge snub to Netanyahu. Netanyahu is under huge pressure from Trump because he cannot continue on his own, and he knows that. So I'm afraid his downfall is now, or after 6 months, or after 1 year. You can be sure of that. And I would agree with those who say that there are people in Israel who want to try him for various crimes, and he may end up, like many leaders, in an Israeli jail. But that we don't need to discuss now. What we need to discuss here is that thanks to, I'm afraid, Netanyahu's genocide of women and children in Gaza, he has transformed Hamas into a mass movement. So Hamas is not restricted to the representatives of Hamas who are treated like heroes, as Sumit said, when they go into Gaza. Each and every Gaza resident is Hamas. Hamas is in their minds. Hamas will remain. He has been responsible for perpetuating the existence of Hamas. That's my first point. Secondly, the Palestinians do not wish to recognize Israel's right to exist because they say it is their land, which the Israeli settlers have abused, have crossed all red lines, etc. If you look at it from a Palestinian perspective, it's their land which was given to Israel to compensate them for the Holocaust, which Palestine did not commit, but which Germany did. Exactly the same way as the atom bomb was dropped in Hiroshima and not in Germany. These are unfortunate and nasty facts of history that we need to recognize when we look at this deal. In my opinion, this deal will work. Why?
All right.
Because Palestinian women and children have been slaughtered in such large numbers, they are desperate. They have nowhere to go because all Arab neighbors have closed their boundaries. The Israelis have to accept because Trump wants them to accept. He is putting huge pressure. Whether it will last for long or not is a different proposal. But if indeed a lot of money is poured into the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, perhaps it may survive. So I am not completely negative about it. I think we should see how things develop in the next.
All right, ma'am. We've run out of time. Appreciate your thoughts and your perspective, and appreciate everybody else who took out the time and spoke about this important geopolitical update.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.